Welcome to the dark place. That's right, everybody. We received a code for Alan Wake 2. Shout out to Remedy for granting me a code to play and talk about. Um, just really quickly, this is a super special moment. I love Remedy so much, and so the fact that I got a code to play their upcoming game before everyone else to talk about here and let y'all know just how awesome it is, because spoiler alert, it's effing great. It's awesome. So code provided. Can't wait to get into it. What I will not talk about here, because this is a review in progress. Okay. I got the code a few days ago while I was still playing Spider-Man, and with the day job, couldn't get too far in. So I'm roughly 5.5, 6 hours into Alan Wake 2.
So review in progress.
Review in progress. I will not be going too much into story stuff, just because I think it's super special to be enjoyed and experienced by all of y'all on your own playthroughs. Mm-hmm. But there are some other things that I will get into, where things that might be coming to Alan Wake 2 in the future, just as a heads up. So, let's get it out of the way first, right? Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, when the embargo kind of got leaked out there, and like, yeah, Thursday, we'll get the embargo or whatever, and they had that really big, intimidating spec sheet of like, this is what you need to run on PC effectively, and everyone's like, oh my god, my PC isn't strong enough. How our consoles are going to handle? I'm happily here to report not one single issue. Ooh, it runs so damn well on PS5. There's some minor like visual weirdness with like the HDR, where some things have like that weird glowy outline with like some like white specks here and there.
Yeah.
But it's running so smooth. I haven't had any issues on that front. So I want to get that out there to begin with.
Yeah. I want to ask this, because again, like, usually people are like, oh man, a day before a game comes out, review, that's usually a red flag. Right? Is that so? I want to know your first thoughts, but before you get right into it, I also want to know your thoughts walking into Alan Wake 2, because I know you've played one, didn't beat one, but you fell in love with their previous title, Control. That is your game of the year that year.
Yeah.
So I want to know what your expectations were walking in.
My expectations were high, especially because I fell in love with Remedy through Control, and just not only just the gameplay and the characters or whatnot, but the worlds that they build are so fully realized and so immersive, and the amount of lore they kind of stick everywhere is why I was so excited for this. And I enjoyed what I played of Alan Wake Remastered. Again, didn't finish it, but IGN put up a great here's the story so far thing with Sam Lake himself. So I highly suggest everyone to watch that in case you haven't played the other ones, and just get caught up on what Alan Wake is. It covers the first game, the American Nightmares DLC, and even the Control DLC, which Alan Wake is in. Right. It's a great little catch up, and it helps tremendously for this one. But walking in and knowing that Remedy is making a survival horror game with like how twisted some of the enemies in Control were, and the vibes of some of the oldest house was giving, I was super excited to see them push full into survival horror, because even the first Alan Wake was not survival horror. It's an action game with some like creepy things here and there, but this is like full on survival horror, man. Make sure you have diapers with you, because oh boy.
Is it like a psychedelic horror?
Yeah, it does mess with your mind, and some there are a lot of flashing images, I will say that, and they do give that warning ahead of time for anyone that is prone to that kind of sensitivity. But there are some jump scares. There's a lot of like hair standing on the back of your neck, like something is behind you, because the audio is incredible even without headphones. Nice. And that's kind of what I was creeped out about by the first game, where enemies can pop up out of nowhere because they are from like the darkness. They are shrouded in mist, and they can pop up anywhere and behind you, and the way they teleport around, it's really good feel of like you're gonna be scared. You're gonna be
Okay.
tense. You're gonna be scared for sure.
My first question for you, Kyle, is who are you playing as? Are you playing as Saga so far, or are you playing as Alan?
Good old Al
Yeah.
Wake. Um, so you play. So even though I'm 5.5 hours in,
Mhm.
I just got to Alan.
Oh, okay.
So without going into spoilers, whatever, you start off with Saga, who's an
So
FBI agent. Yeah.
yeah, so I was really thinking that this was like Resident Evil 2-esque, where like there are two campaigns. At least that's what I thought through the advertisements.
So
So you're switching off between Alan and Saga in this.
you are, and I think
Okay.
at some point there will be a chance, as the way they were telling us, where you can play as either at any point.
Okay.
Right now, though, I am still getting the hang of. I just stepped into Alan's shoes.
Okay.
But
And how do they feel? Like in Last of Us Part 2,
Mhm.
you're playing as two dual protagonists. One feels, weighted and one feels light as a feather. One could
Mhm.
take a couple of hits, but
Mhm.
the other can't. Are there like trade-offs in that department, or do they feel similar?
They feel very similar as far as like builds go, and the amount of punishment, quote unquote, they can take or whatnot. But they do have completely different kind of skill sets.
Ooh, okay.
Which is interesting. That's more spoilery, so I won't get too far into it.
Fair
But
enough. That's all we'll say.
it starts with Saga, FBI agent, who your partner is Alex Casey, who just so happens to have the same name as the character in the Alan Wake stories that he wrote in the first game. Played by Sam Lake. He's the character model
Oh,
as
nice.
your partner, and you're back in Bright Falls to investigate a murder. There's been a murder.
Bernardo.
And it seems like a cult is behind this, and then it unravels and
From there.
gets into some tense horror situations.
Nice.
And the Alan Wake kind of enemies kind of pop up after a little bit of
Okay.
being in Saga shoes. The really cool thing about Alan Wake 2 so far, when it comes to like gameplay mechanics, whatever, um Saga is an FBI agent, so you do have to do case files. You have
Hmm.
case files on the murder itself, and when you press the touchpad, you will then pop back into Saga's Mind Palace, which is a cabin where there are all in-game collectibles that you will read that will give you backstory and lore. So it is a glorified pause menu. But you can
Okay.
walk around the room. You can go do the pin on the board like Charlie and It's Always Sunny with the yarn.
That's awesome.
And that's how you keep up with the story and know what to look for next.
Oh,
So
that's
you
great.
will find a clue in the real world, you'll pop in the Mind Palace, then you'll stick it on the board, and you have to find which one it goes to for it to
Hmm.
stick, so you know where the threads are going, what you have to look for, and it's kind of like a progression kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's getting like it's kind of like for lack of better words, like an intimate like level of like connecting yourself with the narrative so that
Yes,
you're understanding
absolutely.
very much so what is going
Here
on.
is the cool part though, Joe. And the
Okay.
game points this out. And when they pointed this out, like, oh my God, this is going to get intense later. When you're in the Mind Palace, the real world doesn't stop. It's not a pause menu. You are in the Mind Palace doing all your things. So, like, you're in deep thought. But
Yeah.
if you were to go into the Mind Palace while enemies are around, those enemies are still going to attack you. So think of like the Last of Us 2 moment where you're at the workbench and you think
Oh,
you're safe.
wow.
In this, though, you're
No.
in the Mind Palace and everything is around you is still happening.
Oh, wow.
So you have to make sure that you're in a safe spot. I haven't run into an issue yet, but I can only imagine things are going to pop off.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Because then you'll pop back out and your partner Alex Casey will be just like, "Hey, where'd you go? Are you in your thinking place and stuff like that?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Let's go.
I'm doing some work." And you can profile suspects and try to
Okay.
figure out who they are, and they will also give you hints as to like you get that really cool
What did-
control overlay. Like remember
Yeah.
where the director would talk to you and it would be like a silhouette of him over the screen and you could still see Jesse. That's what happens in this game, where you are profiling somebody and you're thinking and you'll hear their voice and these silhouettes on screen telling you like where to go, kind of thing.
That's
and more
awesome.
Info. It's so good. It's just, oh boy, it's real good. I got the profiling. Let's just also get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Game is drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, you were talking to me.
Remedy's Northlight engine, I believe it's called.
Yep.
Might be the most gorgeous game I've played all year.
Wow.
And that is coming off of Spider-Man 2. That is Final Fantasy 16. That's Baldur's Gate 3. This game is so intensely gorgeous and vibrant. The lighting is next level. Wow. And like they made a point telling me when they gave me a code, they gave me a little review guide, which kind of happens. And they're like, this game is meant to be played in a dark setting. And I cannot recommend that enough. It like really gets you in there. The reds pop on screen when something terrible is about to happen and frightening. And using the flashlight is so damn cool. Because you're gonna need it because it's very dark, and but it's just like the perfect amount, and everything is so detailed. The facial animations, the character work is incredible. There's a moment in the beginning where you're in Bright Falls, you're at the familiar diner from the first game, where you walk in and you're talking to suspects, and you go in your mind palace to try to profile them to see if they're telling the truth or not. You kind of figure out they're holding something back, and you pop back out of the palace. You say to them, hey, I think you're holding something and you're not telling me something. And the character literally does, like, taken aback that you called them out on their stuff. It's like, it
kind of reminds me of like LA Noire, but
it's
more
LA
realized.
Noire, but like it looks good. It's not somebody sitting there like with the doubt floating over their head, like, I wonder if this. No, it's like legit. Like they were taken aback that you called them out on it, and it's fully animated. And when you walk away from certain characters, they're still having conversations with somebody else, and it's not just them standing there stoically. They're like bodies into it. They're fully animating and being like energetic and into the conversation. It is like, this is one of the most next gen experiences I've seen. And like popping in and out of the Mind Palace, just like that. Instantaneous.
That's awesome to hear, because like the one thing about Control was like Control was really impressive. It was doing a lot of things physics wise.
Yes.
But boy, oh boy, did it make my PlayStation 4 want to commit seppuku. So like this is,
and the map is so much better in Alan Wake 2. The Control map was also a real problem. This one, you pick up maps in the world, it pops up, but it gives you a marker of where you're at, and it's easy enough to find out where you are and traverse where you have to go.
Thank God. That is a great quality of life thing.
Absolutely. But let's get into like what you're doing combat wise, because I didn't get into a combat situation until like 3.5 hours in, because I was taking my time.
Okay.
So I can't remember when they said it. Maybe it was around Summer Game Fest, but I think Sam Lake was saying we want combat to feel intense whenever it happens. So like, there's not a lot of combat so far, but when it happens, your heart is racing. Like, you have to be prepared. It is Resident Evil remake like kind of combat, where it is over the shoulder. You are shooting. You have inventory management. You're gonna run out of bullets like nobody's business. You have, if you haven't played any of them, you do have to keep track of your flashlight batteries, because you use your flashlight to stun enemies and get rid of the dark mist around them, so you can do more damage and actually hit them. So that is a mechanic of making sure you have enough batteries so your flashlight will work. Thankfully, outside of combat, you can have your flashlight on and not worry about batteries.
Okay.
Which is good. I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, go ahead. You were going to ask something.
No, when it comes to inventory management and lack of bullets gives me major anxiety. So I want to know, is it kind of like in Resident Evil where it's like yeah, make every bullet count, but don't worry, like, or you should be
Yeah.
every at the end of every encounter, it's like better term is like in Resident Evil, it ramps you up until the end where you're just using all your bullets at once,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you're at that encounter, you have nothing
Mm-hmm.
left. Is it like a similar ramp up?
I haven't gotten to a ramp up moment. Right now I am fighting for my life in every situation because of the ammo.
That's awesome.
And I'm also kind of a bad shot. So maybe if you are a better shot, you'll have a better time, but the first boss took me a couple of tries because I was running low, and at that point you have to run around the field to gather things. Like there are things where you can get more bullets.
Okay.
But the scarcity of them is like the perfect amount. Like you're not just gonna find bullets randomly. Like it makes sense as to where they are in the world, which I do kind of appreciate.
Right.
But yeah,
you know, like the hotel waiter doesn't have a Glock.
No. At least
Right.
not yet. Who knows?
Who knows? But
yeah, yeah, combat is tough, and the one thing that's tough about it is I don't fully love the dodge.
okay.
There is a dodge which you can remap, Joe. I had to remap it immediately
Thank God.
because it was on
To circle.
It was on L1. I was like, I've just been playing Spider-Man. It needs to be on circle, or else I'm not surviving. And it's easily remappable. Everything's remappable, which is great.
Excellent.
Dodge is kind of tough because it's not like you're an FBI agent. Like you're not a superhuman. You're not a superhero. Right. You're not gonna dodge roll out of the way. So it's more of like a shuffle. It's more like Resident Evil Remake, like
3
and like 4, like when you can dodge a little bit. You're like shuffling out of the way. But when you get knocked down, you also need to dodge on the ground out of the way for follow-up attacks.
Oh shit!
Like you need to be on your A game. Which like in this setting, in the darkness and the scariness of what's going on, it just feels so good. Yeah, it's the environments are like second to none detail wise. I think another thing that Sam Lake and the team were talking about beforehand were like Alan Wake 2 was a dream that we never thought was possible. You nailed it. And I'm only 5.5 hours in. This is like one of the best games I've played, and the hints at all the other Remedy things that came beforehand are awesome.
Kind of like what we said before with like Insomniac. It's like all the lessons learned in this one thing here.
Yes.
And more.
And the fact that they so badly wanted to make a survival horror game, and now they're doing it, and they're doing it extremely well. That's right. Like when you take control of Alan Wake for the first time, and it's been in trailers, like when you are in this version of New York City, there's nothing else like it. Hairs on the end of your neck are going to be standing up. Like you're in it. This is one of the best games of the year. Easily going to be on my game of the year list. Way up there. I'm so excited to keep going. And some of our favorite modes from Control. And something I guess Remedy has done beforehand. Again, I haven't played much of their stuff, even though I'm a huge fan. The live action TV stuff is back. It's better than ever.
Okay.
I will tease the first one just because I thought it was great. And you also meet up with the characters from the live action people in video game form elsewhere in the world. Like they're living in the environment. Yeah. They're a bunch of like hunters, right? That will come on down to Coffee World. They're like head of the amusement park or whatever. And they're like hunters, and you can get equipment to go out on your hunts because Deer Fest is coming, which is the annual Bright Falls thing. And at the end of that, typical hunters, they go, F the government, and they just flip off the camera in the live action TV thing. And I fell over laughing so hard. It was perfect. That's awesome. And just like other previous Remedy things that I do want to shout out because it's so damn cool. Every chapter also begins with the bright font on the screen, but the same kind of logo treatment that Control did when you entered a new area that was so cool. That's awesome. Happens here. But also when you end a chapter, it acts like an episode of a TV show.
Oh, so it's like previously on, and I'll recap.
it won't recap, but what'll happen is you'll get like those scary images happening with a dope song. And so it's like an end credits to an episode playing.
Oh.
And then you press X and it will go to the next chapter.
Okay.
And I sat there for every song and they've been in my head constantly. The soundtrack is great. I can't stop talking enough about Alan Wake 2.
One last thing.
I can't wait to keep going. Yeah.
DualSense features.
Sure. You kind of asked me to keep an eye out for it. Nothing yet. Like when you are, again, I have it on low setting.
Okay.
Just because
You're a coward.
I'm not a coward. It's just my hands go numb very quickly.
Right.
Carpal tunnel, baby.
You're a weak man. I get it.
I do notice it though when you focus the flashlight on enemies, it does rumble, and that feedback, like it is a struggle, which I do enjoy. But I haven't noticed anything as far as like pulling the trigger to shoot, getting any kind of feedback there yet. Maybe other weapons eventually might happen. There is one spoilery thing that is kind of cool where you feel it going into the controller.
That's it.
When you're collecting something, it's pretty cool.
Okay. Fair enough. Kyle, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. If you're looking for something spoopy, if you're excited for Alan Wake 2, your hype levels are justified. It is one of the best games I played this year. I'm only 5.5 hours in. I've been thinking about it all day today. I can't wait to go play more. Yeah, thank you, Remedy, for the code. I'm so thankful for this. Y'all did an amazing job. Weird. I want to talk to somebody about the trophy list though. It's very strange. No gold trophies, 1 silver, and like 60 bronzes. It's strange. It's weird.
All right. Yeah.
But just really quickly, what they will allow us to talk about is there is expansions planned.
Okay.
First one coming out early next year, and photo mode after launch, which I cannot wait for.
Okay.
And they did tweet it out about New Game Plus is also coming after launch, which will include new story manuscripts, which is interesting. So there's going to be a lot here. You're going to be in it and playing it for a while. Yeah. Okay. Shout out. Alrighty. Platinum level right now if I had to score it.
Oof. Can't wait. You got me sold on it, man. I cannot wait.
It's hard to go into what I really love without spoiling things. Yeah. But just like on a survival horror element alone, this game does it so well. Yeah. So well. I'm floored. I'm floored.
Hot damn. Well, there you have it. Those are Kyle's thoughts on Alan Wake 2 so far. Our review in progress. I can't wait to play it. And I hope, I want to know what you guys think. Down in the comments below. Please hit like, share, subscribe. Are you excited for Alan Wake 2? Is there anything we missed? You like some questions that need answering?
Yes.
Let us know in the comment section down below. Like, share, subscribe. You know the whole deal. And with all that out of the way, everybody, keep your wits about you. Keep hunting and keep playing PlayStation. See you guys.
Wake up.